Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233. Pursuant to the extension of Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, this public meeting of the Town of Bolton Conservation Commission is also being conducted via remote participation. The public can access this meeting while in progress by Zoom Video Communications, Inc. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by telephone, cell phone, or personal computer using Zoom. Excuse me. And just some guidelines for participants. For those who have not done so already, if you are here in person, you're required just to sign in and provide information associated with your project. Members of the public attending this meeting may be allowed to make comments or ask questions only related to the Conservation Commission's jurisdictional items, if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment. Only items published on the agenda and jurisdictional to the Conservation Commission shall be considered at this meeting. If a hearing item, excuse me, is open for public comment, participants shall wait until they are recognized by the chair. Then they shall direct their comments and questions directly to the board. Should the commission wish to redirect to the applicant, we may do so at our discretion. And pursuant to our traditions, we will start with a roll call. I am Brian Barabee.
Jillian Glasanos.
Jim Garrity.
Laura Stevenson. Rebecca Longball.
Okay. Excuse me. All right. First up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open the public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131 and Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider the notice of intent for Alpha Terra Design LLC for the proposed construction of a residential driveway and intermittent stream crossing to gain access to upland areas for the construction of residential dwellings. Public hearing advertised and held today on Tuesday, July 19th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Hope Building. Do we have someone here representing the applicants? Hi, if you could just introduce yourself and give us an overview of the project if you want to come up and work.
Thank you. I'm just going to ask that you project your voice. Again, we are using the camera here, but also so anyone can be understanding what you're saying. Thank you.
Is a wetland crossing. It is a shared driveway that comes off of Main Street for access into the upland site of our site. That's for construction of two single-family homes. So for the wetland crossing, we will be constructing two masonry retaining walls on each side of the driveway to mitigate the impact of the wetland, and then underneath we'll be installing an open culvert. So this the site mainly consists of bordering vegetated wetland right off of Main Street, and then up southerly the upland side consists mainly of woodland. So due to the nature of the topography and the layout of the parcel, we're proposing to cross the narrowest part for I guess we'll be impacting approximately 2,700 square feet of wetland, and we're proposing to put in
Sorry, yeah.
So the disturbance, like I said, the disturbance is approximately 2,700 square feet. In order to put in the 2 single-family homes in construction of the driveway, we're going to be clearing approximately 8.7 acres of the 30-acre lot. And all the disturbed areas we will be seeding with a conservation seed mix to allow for soil stability. Erosion control will also be implemented along the, mainly right off of the Main Street side will include straw hay bales and straw water. And along the driveway will also include just regular straw water. There will be, for the 2 proposed houses, there will be on-site septic and private well.
Can I ask, so the extent of jurisdictional area, is it just the crossing? In other words, are the houses outside the jurisdiction, the entire driveway, basically, with the exception of the crossing?
Correct, yeah,
So is it that kind of lighter green color? So is that,
yeah, so that is the wetland.
right, and everything else is kind of, I see there's other wetlands on the property, but you're not proposing anything around them.
Correct, it's outside of the.
Right, and they're, okay,
This was an area that had a temporary crossing previously permitted by the commission for the testing.
all right, so this is the one down kind of across from Bolton Spring Farm?
Yes.
Like almost diagonally across, okay, I was trying to
Okay.
picture where it was again.
Mhm.
All right. Those are the first 2 questions I had. Any members of the commission, other members of the commission have any questions? Comments or thoughts?
Now, I'm just curious, when I look at the septic system for the first house, it seems like a long way away. Is there a reason for that, or
That's just where the.
just
the
where it
original-
landed?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
So just re-screen it. Any other commission members have questions? Not seeing it. Usually with something like this, we'd probably like to schedule, I know I'd like to schedule a site visit. I'll put it up to the other commission members too. And when we do come out, if you could possibly stake out the limit of work, where it's gonna be in there, if you could somehow stake out what the replication area would be.
Yep.
I think, if you could do the center line of the driveway. Sure. I don't think you necessarily need to like exactly mark out where swales and or check dams will be, but if we can walk the center line of the driveway, you can probably point out to us where you're thinking they might go in, if that makes sense. It's on site. Trying to think what else. Basically, that's what I'd kind of like to see marked out on site for a site visit. Other commission members have thoughts, other things they might like to see. I think we're in agreement that the site visit's usually the way to start. Let's see, any members of the public, anybody here tonight to comment on the new construction 0 Main Street? Anyone online?
I am not seeing anyone.
Okay,
One comment, if I may, Brian,
Please.
is just read into the record the DEP file number, which is 1120712. The additional requirements or comments were specific to 401 water quality certification may be required for this project. The project qualifies for 401 certification under the Army Corps of Engineers General Permit for Massachusetts, provided that the project meets certain conditions outlined in 314 CMR 9.03 and 9.04 and the conditions under MAGP. Water quality certification information is available and it's providing further site information for the applicants, which they may have already done to review whether or not it applies.
For the record, Chris
Please.
Anderson, Camden Engineering.
Yep.
I did take a look at that comment. We actually received it from another project as well. Based on my review, and I'm gonna have a second opinion from our wetland sciences, Karen Environmental. This project doesn't quantify as a 401 water quality because we don't cross the outstanding resource water wetlands. It is altering wetlands, so as long as we stay below the 5,000 mark, you don't qualify for the 401.
And we can, I was gonna say, it seems like you're nodding along,
Yep.
that is to your understanding as well, okay. So, all of that said, would you be fine if we continue this until our next public hearing in order to give us a chance to come out and do a site visit?
Yeah.
All right. Our next meeting is the third, second, third,
Second.
okay. What's our first time available?
It is. I want to say 8 o'clock. Yes, because we have public meeting still 7:45.
Okay, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 0 Main Street, Alpha Terra Designs, proposed wetland crossing until our next public hearing, Tuesday, August 2nd, at 8:00 PM. Do I hear a second for that?
Second,
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian,
aye.
Jim,
I,
Lori,
I actually abstain from this one.
Could you repeat, Lori?
I abstain from this one.
okay.
abstains. Thank you.
And Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Through the chair, roads and sidewalks, you guys doing just a blanket day, or just go see all the sites, or is there a certain day you want to set up?
I will,
It's-
I will follow up,
sorry.
so I will reach
No.
out. I will reach out to the commission members, see their availability individually, and then we'll reach out to you to figure out when your availability is to be out on site.
Okay, just want to give it a few days to get our crews out there to get all this stuff taken care of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and usually we'll just try to coordinate what day works best, and if we can stack multiple, great, but we can also go site specific. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. Is this all in three?
Yes, you're not able to get
I
back in?
crashed, yeah, so
Okay.
I apologize.
Do you want me to share my screen with the agenda or?
I
No,
would,
okay,
I would just, as long as they can hear Brian when he's moving. I think it's fine.
okay.
Our next
And you
item,
can Just note if there's like a comment or something.
Mhm.
7:30, correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to move down at all?
We can do the enforcement update.
Yeah,
if you
on
want.
Century Mill Estates, yeah,
Sure.
please.
Thank you. So the request this evening is that the commission essentially update their vote to issue fines. The reasoning is because one parcel has requested a certificate of compliance for their parcel only. But the way the vote was made at the last meeting to issue fines, we referenced just that DEP file number. We didn't reference a certificate of compliance. So if there's a partial, technically that meets what the commission had required fines for before. So it's just reiterating that you still want to be continuing the fines because there is still an expired order of conditions on the property and still ongoing work. In addition to that, other side of the update is that we have contracted BSC Group to review the wetlands and stormwater because we did have that available in our funding currently, so that the commission will have an up-to-date what the actual violations are and what work remains still as part of that development.
Gotcha. So basically, we need a roll call vote to issue the fines,
Yep, if you still wish to
Right,
continue
right.
doing that. If you
But-
don't, then that's at your discretion.
issue them for Century Mill Estates and the DEP file number,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And that's basically, all right.
Yeah.
Commission members and Lori remotely, questions, comments on that? Any thoughts or understand what we're trying to basically reissue? Yeah, so fine, comfortable.
Yeah.
All right. And like I said, I'd like to call a roll call vote that we indeed issue the fine for Century Mill Estates DEP file number 1120526. All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Jillian,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well. Did people have a chance to read through July 5th, 2022 minutes? So any edits, changes, corrections? If not, anybody need more time to read through the minutes? Saying
All
any?
set, yep.
Jillian
Alright.
found an
That's great.
amendment. So
Yeah.
Jillian was not present at the meeting last time, and there was a vote where her name was on it. So obviously that was a typo, or rather it wasn't taken out. So that will be the one amendment.
Okay,
We'll be taking Jillian's name out of it.
all right. So in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes for our July 5th, 2022 meeting as drafted and amended at this evening's meeting. Do I hear a second for that?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian,
Abstain.
yeah, Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Great, thank you.
We want to talk Henderson Striker. What's the best way? 10 minutes.
The best way to do that probably is the larger scale question is, would the commission like to hire Henderson Striker again to take care of Butternut and Bowers as they have done in the past? I had sent to you basically the maintenance schedules and the cost of that. We do keep it under what we have in the budget to be sure we have the ability to do other things. So that would be the question is, would the commission be comfortable contracting with him? He sent us the proposal.
Yeah. I can just say, I've looked through it. I know we've used them in the past. We've been happy. They generally know their stuff. They're not overly cheap, but nothing is nowadays. And this is kind of in line with what they had quoted us in the past. Yeah, it's very similar. So I didn't have a problem with it. And I'm comfortable going forward with them, but anyone else have questions, comments?
The plan seemed reasonable. Yeah.
Okay. Lori, comfortable with Henderson Striker still?
Yep, fine.
All right. So in that case, I memorialize it. I'll probably, yeah.
That would be helpful.
All right. So call for a roll call vote that the commission will once again employ Henderson Striker for maintenance at Bowers and Butternut. Following the maintenance plan that was submitted at this evening's meeting, maintenance plan and budget was submitted at this evening's meeting. All those in favor of contracting Henderson Striker again, please say aye, and we'll start with Jillian,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Wonderful, thank you. The other item is, so some of these are just some items that are continued to stay on the agenda as we have the scout project, and then the trails grant we received for the Bolton Trails Connectivity Improvement Project. We're still waiting for that funding to, there's a weird finalization approval that comes through even after you get the award.
Okay.
So we're waiting on that at the moment, but for Fifeshire, I also sent along a estimate for having goats come to address the poison ivy at the entrance.
Mhm.
And I wasn't sure if the commission would like to discuss that, or if they were comfortable with that. And if it's in the budget, I would certainly like to be able to implement something like this as a pilot. And then if this is something that's successful and we would like to continue, there are other areas on that property, but throughout our other properties as well, that we can't use pesticides or herbicides on, that should really be addressed
Yeah.
in something like this.
I know we have discussed it in the past, and that most of us, I think, were in favor of it. I see the quote. Is that, I have no idea what the going rate for goat mowing is. I've just,
That is the most reasonable that I've come across. We had
Okay.
someone else provide an estimate for one of our other properties, and it was much larger than that.
okay. That's good to know. I wish Bill Payne was here now.
I thought he was gonna jump on it.
So commission members have comments, questions, thoughts regarding goat mowing at Fifeshire or contracting for goat mowing?
Is there specific species that they're trying to fight back? Is it poison ivy? Is it just everything?
Primarily poison ivy, but also just both sides of the trail on either side. It becomes overgrown.
Can't
It's the
access
main entryway, and you can access it, but it is grown in and it's primarily poison ivy.
Is it clear when they're finished, right, when they finish the job? Is it obvious when they're done, or
Yes.
it is?
And what you might read in the document is that there are some responsibilities of the town. Just check to make sure they have water.
Yeah.
That's the way I go home every day, so I don't mind taking
Okay.
on that responsibility if the commission wants. The other thing to note is they do suggest to follow up after the goats are done with a Dawn Epsom salt and vinegar mixture that actually helps further receive the poison ivy.
And they stay there for the whole time? They're fenced in and they
The
stay
goats,
overnight?
yes, it's an
Okay,
electrical fence. So on that property, we have the ability to direct people to the trail entrance near Fotini's or the trail entrance off of Sawyer Road by Haynes Wheeler property. And so there's still the ability to get into the property. There's access from Berlin still. And I will be creating a lot of signage. They have signage to state that the fence is live, basically, don't touch it. But I will be putting out, if the commission would like to move forward with this, information on the property. Also I'll work with our trails committee to try and get some of the information on their site updated. And along with that, try and do a push on our town website to make sure that it's really publicly known that there's a live fence on the property. They're there to be doing maintenance. They're not there to be cuddled and snuggled as much as I'm sure some people would like to, but
Yeah,
That's
Lori,
great.
yeah, I was gonna say, we've talked about doing it for years, so it'll be interesting to finally have a project, see how it works, see if we like.
Yeah.
Lori, any questions, comments, fears with goats?
No, we've been talking about it for a long time, so I think it's awesome. And you mentioned something about coming in afterwards and spraying to what,
yes.
put it down afterwards.
Yep, so they suggested it's a Dawn Epsom salt and vinegar mixture that they
Mhm.
typically encourage people to follow up with after the goats have completed their work.
Mhm.
And essentially that they've seen on other properties and they have some research that they're doing that they've followed up with these properties and it does work.
And when did they apply that? August, September?
Basically just when the goats are done with their work. They didn't specify a season, but I'm sure if I followed up with them, there may be a season that they prefer.
Mhm. Because usually, I know we get most success when towards the end, when they're pulling in energy to survive the next season and they pull it down into the roots and things, it tends to kill things much better later in the season as opposed to earlier in the season.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And now is the town going to be spraying, or is that something that's already dealt with?
Think we would have.
We
to,
would be
yeah.
doing that, or that's something I would have to coordinate with so it wouldn't be the goatscaping company, if that's your question.
No, that's what I meant. Yeah,
Yeah.
more like the town would be doing it.
Yes, that is correct.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, I guess, all those in favor of contracting with Central Mass Goats or Central Mass Goat Rentals, please say aye, starting with Jillian.
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Couple more updates if you want me to run through them.
Please,
Ryan.
yep.
Okay. So our update is that we have our volunteer land steward position still open. Our open space and recreation plan subcommittee member opportunity is open. We're going to be focusing a little bit more on that in the upcoming months and doing some outreach associated with the open space and recreation plan subcommittee. And then we, of course, have a Bolton Conservation Commission seat open. So if you are interested, please contact myself, either calling or emailing with a letter of interest and cover letter. I mean, excuse me, and resume.
I wish I kept in closer touch with those clues. I wonder. I know she was very busy. I know her kids were, one of her kids was in something with one of my kids for a while too, but
Yeah.
like, I think her kids might be older now. I wonder, she put so much work into it the first time. She did an excellent job. If she would be willing to be there for the update.
I can certainly reach.
I was gonna
out
say,
to her.
if at all possible, I could understand if she begs out, because again, she put in a lot of work the first time, but yeah, she would be excellent. All right. We really, Taggart Forest Land is on here. Was that part?
That
of
was a
this district?
placeholder.
Okay. Thirty seconds.
Okay, so the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and of the Law, Chapter 233, to consider a request for determination of applicability submitted by Avalon Consulting Group to proposed temporary structures, including a catering tent, approximately 30 feet by 40 feet, concessions tent, approximately 100 feet by 60 feet, first aid tent, approximately 10 feet by 10 feet, portable restrooms, and an ADA accessible restroom trailer for a 3-day professional golf tournament. Public hearing as advertised being held this evening, July 19, 2022. Someone representing the applicants. Yeah.
I've has been engaged by Golf to manage the golf invitation series that will be held at international. As a budget, the international homestead property and has used the funds to golf events. Part of the golf event, what we're proposing to do is so just to orient you here, this is Mullen Road. So the international. Criteria here is for and then just went out to that. See, this is Twin Springs, and there's almost similar to South Planning wetland series here. You can see that the parking that's proposed is to the west, is when we look at the plan is the wetland that comes off of, this is all the road, comes off of the first hole. There's no work that's proposed within the jurisdiction. This is a wetland that is. That these are, these modifications are good. There are a series of tents that will be placed here, and a series of tents that will be placed here for hospitality portions of the there's no work within that. Or within the adjacent uplands. This is the 13th hole, and so this is where there is work within the jurisdiction of our activities. This again is delineated during that process. This is the one with buffer zone here. This is where we went at this location. And there's a stone wall that exists here in this area where the activities being there are maintained turn. So this is the snack bar that's in this photo right here. You can see this is the paved areas that allow access to that. And then I used to go in this direction here like this. This is that stone wall that's here, and this is the little area that's in front of it. There are a number of trees. The trees are shown on the plan. We're not proposing to impact the trees at all. And this is the paved area that is in front of that.
Were those shared as part of the submittal?
They were not. Okay. I just made it easier for people to understand. So the activities that will be here, this is a portable restrooms that are located here. And there's a pushing sink. There are the tents that were referenced when you went into the record. There are a series of tables. Those tables don't have any chairs. They have a pole and a high house. This is a first aid tent that is located here, and that's within the between the and this is the existing snack shack. This is part of this process. The restrooms that are here are installed sometime after the 15th of August. They'll go as with all of this on September 6th. Restrooms will be the bulk of it is so we anticipate that there'll be a flow truck that comes down here. It has a 50-foot hose. They won't need to move the paved service. They'll service those evenings. Leave them alone. We won't have any generators here. There was a generator listed in the application. But we figured out that we can use the power from the snack bar. So we don't need to have a generator on site, and we don't need to worry about where that generator is. So we thought that. So this is the farmland across the street. So this is Baldwin Road. This is the first hole that we were looking at. That wetland is up here. And this is Sawyer. So what they're proposing to do is to park the majority of the public. So there'll be a bus depot at this location. And then there'll be parking that will occur around it. So this wetland is not going to be as part of that OPEX system. So Ecotech delineated it here as bordering vegetated wetland. There's a 100-foot buffer from that. And so it's going to be the same system basically for this location as well as at Twin Springs. We're proposing to come out in this instance 105 feet because it can be 5 feet. Have the surveyor state that and then have them put a fence snow fence, a bright orange fence that basically says, don't go past here. Don't pass go. It will go like this, and then that will make it really clear that if there's parking in here or if there are buses in here, they won't go to that.
Just curious, does that move everything out of our jurisdiction for that area? Right, so, yeah, as those plants are, you can tell us, or, well, depending upon the delineation.
Yeah, so it does, if what the commission's reviewing tonight is not the delineation in and of itself. What Kelly's referencing is that they had someone go out and delineate. It has not yet been approved by the commission. That's not part of this RDA as a request. That is an option that was not selected. So what they're looking for is the allowable area that they can use. So they're stating by their delineation that they've done, that again, the commission isn't considering approving or disapproving at this time. They've tried to be conservative, it sounds like, from what they've determined to be resource area by putting it out 105 feet. So yes, if their delineation was correct, that would mean that what they've fenced off would be outside of the jurisdictional area. But again, more phrased of, is the commission comfortable with that area being utilized for that purpose? And again, knowing that that delineation has yet to have been approved by the Conservation Commission at this time.
So let me talk to you a little bit about what the existing condition is of this property. The property is owned by Escalante International. There's a conservation restriction on it held by the Conservation Trust. So in the late 90s, there was a conservation restriction put on this land, which specifically allowed parking in this region. And the farmer pays this, had discussions with the farmer, it's allowed in the conservation restriction, and the Conservation Trust has accepted the terms that we provided to use this. The farmer understands it's gonna go on. He has hated, I think there's one more hay between now and the date that it gets used. And so he's fine with that. So this is not, this is not a tree area. There is a tree line here, but we're not proposing any trees come down. We're proposing to install that fence and to park on the area. There's grading, which is specifically prohibited in the Conservation Trust CR. And then just, it doesn't really matter to you, but there's a plastic base that goes here on the ground so that there'll be very limited damage. It's a plastic system that was used also at Country Club that so that there's any issue with damage to the underlying area.
Is that the short farm?
No, that's not their
Schultz
home.
Farm is,
Right at that
Further
that
down.
parcel line right there.
yeah, this is the
Yeah.
Schultz Farm.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what they're proposing.
Oh,
this is a bus depot. So this is gonna be a tent where, and then there'll be a magnetometer so that people who come through here will be screened for the damage. The next three sheets are from Twin Springs. It's basically the same deal as this. These wetlands were delineated by Ecotech, but they were not part of the So when this was filed with you, there was a drafting error, and when the client gave us the parking area, it got overlaid, and so there was some parking that intruded into the buffer area. There was also some parking that was shown on Wild Road. So I'm going to give you a set of plans and email you the set, just so that you have the only revisions are to make sure that absolutely all work is outside the potential parking.
Okay, we'll need print copies of that as well. Just one print copy.
Okay. And then email you some.
Okay.
So we're proposing to do the same thing here, which is this is the buffer zone. This is the southernmost tip of the parking, and there's no riverfront at this location. Again, there'll be that orange stone fence that will go on the other side. People will enter in from Springs. This is Smagaloo to the north. This is Wiley Road. So again, here's the buffer. You'll notice that we then have riverfront that comes down here. And the fence has been shown here. There's no longer any parking along the road. And the fence goes along there. So there will be limited parking again. And then this is a most northerly section of it. Here's the parking right down north of Wild Road, and this is some additional parking that will occur on the driving range when it's outside the jurisdiction. So this is everything that we have for you. You know, Paul and Art are here to answer any questions about the wetlands. I know that that's not what's before you at this point in time, but certainly if you have any questions, we're happy to answer those. And again, Steve at the International is here, and Mike is on the phone. But all the work is all the activities are temporary in nature. And that's
Yeah, and I'll open up for his questions. I was comfortable with a lot of the tent thing. I know where you want to go with that site. I understand it's not currently a cleared area. Assuming as part of this, we will have a timeline which is going to be removed and the area allowed to go back to the once return to the state. I know you gave us those dates. When it comes to the first parking lot, again, it's really difficult. We didn't delineate or agree to where the wetlands were, but I see if the trust is comfortable with it. That the trust was comfortable with their conservation restriction stage. Kind of be comfortable with that one. Twin Springs one is the one that throws me. I don't know if that delineation wasn't part of the original ORAD or ANRAD. I understand it's but yeah, I'm just, that's what I think, to double check that delineation and see where it's at. And that said, I'd probably like to double check the other delineations as well. If we're gonna go to check one, I believe you guys are honest, and that's great. But we just can't don't take anybody's word that we are exactly where the button is. We have it all covered. So for me, and I'll put it out to the commissioner, I'd like a site visit to at least get out there and check that delineation and walk it, make sure that we agree to it. Because I think, it's more than reasonable. If your delineation is correct, it looks like you did everything, so it's non-jurisdiction, which is the first thing we ask for. As far as the stuff on jurisdiction, and temporary, so I can understand the need for something that close to it. It looks like we'll be afterwards. We wouldn't have problems with most of that as it's proposed. Then I'll open up to other commission members. Thoughts, comments, questions?
Can I just
Please go ahead.
let me explain about how when all the wetlands on the property were flagged, including Twin Springs, and Escalante purchased the property and said, and oh, by the way, we're going to start construction and renovation of the Oaks on the date.
Sure.
It was really quick. And so we made a decision not to submit it over to the entire parcel because we were desperately hoping that we would come and be able to go through that. You might remember that we did a number of series of site visits to get that accomplished.
Yeah.
So we didn't do Twin Springs because we didn't intend at this point to do it.
I completely understand. No, it's more of just, in general, it's just not something we generally work on. So, it was just one of those, I'm sorry it wasn't included in that, but I don't think we can come to a decision about these areas without us actually checking with and agreeing to what's been.
So I thought that might be these.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, excellent.
So,
Excellent.
So I think one of the points of clarification, again, just referencing back to what was filed, the commission, if they so choose, would be looking at the limit of work proposed in relation to what's been flagged as wetland, not necessarily the approval of the delineation.
Yes.
Just
If
to
that-
clarify,
Yes.
but yes, I understand that's what you were.
Yeah, but like I said, the plans for most of it, just about everything else, I don't have additional questions on. I'm comfortable with as a neighborhood, but just wanted to know if the commissioners, any other questions, comments, thoughts?
just, I don't know, how many cars are you expecting? Most of the cars are going to be we can ask Mike, he knows exactly, I know there's 2,500 cars at fairgrounds. We expect that there's 4,000 cars, 4,000 people, not 4,000 cars.
I-
So, the majority of the cars will be there. I don't like
Yep.
comments.
Hi, Mike. We had a question here from a commission member about how many cars are gonna be parked on the Schultz and Twin Springs property, or the Schultz Farm property and Twin Springs.
Sorry, I've been listening in, trying to hear. It's a little hard to hear. I think it sounds like they're a little far away, but I did hear you well, Rebecca. Thank you. The Schultz lot is just a bus depot, and we'll have some tenting and some entry, data with some points on that side across the street. The Twin Springs north side of Wilder will probably be about 500 cars, and the southern side of Wilder on the Twin Springs will be probably 750 cars, I would say, max. They're much less than what that space, what we had originally been looking at. I think the numbers have decreased significantly, so we can push far away from that delineation and still be pretty comfortable in that space.
Wonderful. That's really good to hear, I think, from a commission standpoint. But so you don't have a number associated with the farm property, or it's just going to be buses and they're not going to be parking there. It's just solely dropping people off.
That's correct. Buses and potentially some staging of materials and structures and such, but no vehicles parking on that space other than simply to pick up and drop.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So what may be helpful, and I'll leave it up to the commission, if it might be helpful to update the plans to reflect that, because it sounds like there's not parking within the area that you've shown, and just establish that as a staging area and as a shuttle space. You already have the shuttle space on there, so it may just be a narrative that supplements what's there. It says the parking on X parcel is now going to be staging or whatever that
Yeah.
detail might be. So that's at the commission's discretion, but I think that may be helpful to really clarify what you're asking for and then what the commission is going to be reviewing for. They feel that-
Well, I think in terms of, if I may, to speak to that, I think, in terms of our ability to park there, we certainly, I think, could put something there. We've marked it as potential area for space. It's also, it's additional space that, in a weather situation or something could be considered for parking, but it's not something that I would use tomorrow, given our current weather situation.
Sure.
But so in terms of asking for the ability to use it as parking, I suppose that yes, there is, the opportunity for us to park there.
Okay, thank you for that.
Any other commissioner questions?
Lori, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
Any here tonight, or anyone from the public online who has any comments or questions? So would you be fine with us continuing so we can set a site visit, come out, check those delineations, specifically the Twin Springs?
So I just want to clarify.
Go ahead. Yes,
What
yes,
you
go.
want, what you want to state. what I have staked right now is wetland flags.
Yeah.
So do you need me to also state the 105 foot?
No, I think if we can agree on the wetland flags and we say 105 feet out, that's, okay. See where it is, because we'll memorialize that in the thing.
We have the wetland flags.
Okay.
Rehung, so whenever you want to prepare to do that.
Excellent. Are you fine with us continuing until our next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. So Rebecca, we can try to set up a site visit. We're running into a lot of people's tight schedules. It's gonna be interesting. We'll try to get those site visits in this before next meeting for sure, but as soon as we possibly can.
8:15 will be the next time.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna make a motion that we continue public hearing, sorry, for the request of determination of applicability submitted by Avalon Consulting until our next public hearing, Tuesday, August 2nd at 8:15 p.m. If I hear a second for continue.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian, Jim, Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca. Okay.
Thank you. And that will be Zoom. We're back to
Oh, okay,
Zoom.
great. We're back to Zoom.
Yes. Clarify for everyone.
Okay.
We got stuck in a nuance. So, not typically weekends. It's really up to the commission. So I will say more recently, we've been doing, or the commission's availability has ranged either in the morning, but more recently in the afternoon. So any time after like 2:30, 3 o'clock normally. But again, I reach out to them individually to figure out so they can look at their personal schedules. But
No, I
that's
understand.
typically,
Yeah, recently. That's
Yeah.
a lot of-
yeah.
Yeah, we try to avoid weekends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Yep. Thank you. For now, yes,
We want to
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Good to get- many more days. Why don't you get home? We have 2 minutes away before we can start our next hearing. Up for agenda items. Yeah.
have a message from Scott Hayes stating he discovered due to miscommunication, so this is related to 578 Sugar Road. Due to miscommunication, the abutter notices did not go out. So the request is for the commission to open the hearing and continue without testimony so that he can address this. Okay. And I think that is reasonable. And DEP is not an issue either. So when we get to that item, yes. Yep.
Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing regarding an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, 580 Main Street. We have BSC.
We do.
Ah,
Ethan is present and also Tom Ashens of 580 Main Street, so the applicant's team.
excellent. If Ethan or anyone from BSC wouldn't mind giving a quick view or overview of their site walk. And I know they did submit it in writing, but a quick rundown of changes and or comments they suggested.
Yeah, absolutely. So I completed a site walk. Hi, my name is Ethan Sneesby. I'm with BSC Group. I'll get that out of the way. Sorry about that. I completed a site walk with Tom Schultz, who's on this call on July 1st. And we went through the site, looked over all the lines for the NRED. Some of the changes that we made were to a couple of the lines. We shifted them. Some of the more notable areas were along one of the gravel access roads that leads to a field nearby. There was a section of access road which had been called out of the wetland, but showed wetland characteristics while impacted. So that was flagged to be included in the wetland for the future. And then we extended that to basically to the edge of the property in that area, but that did not go like 100 feet past in the sense of like an NRED. So in that area, the NRED doesn't continue much further than that. And then we moved a couple more flags on the mean annual high water of the stream. There was a beaver dam that had been breached. And after that, the mean annual high water line was a little bit more apparent. I believe it was delineated in like a flood state. So there was a section of it that had been sort of estimated based on the fact that the water was just too high to actually delineate it. So we organized that. I believe that was part of that was going to be delineated after our site visit and then added. So that will be reflected on the plans, I believe. And then we also observed all of the on-site stormwater basins, artificial wetlands, and went through their characteristics, their connections to the various resources. There were the 4 of the wetlands. So specifically the one to the most north, we looked at it, it has wetland characteristics. It has a surface water connection to nearby wetlands. We then moved to the 2 isolated wetlands, one of which is forested and one of which is more of an herbaceous sort of scrub shrub type mix. And looking at those, one of them has, the forested one has not seen really sort of any maintenance, but we determined those were not connected via surface water. So those 2 are isolated from each other. Then there is the sort of larger wetland basin to the south of the property. And so we looked at that one that has, the 3 outlets into the nearby wetland. The berm itself contains wetland characteristics, hydric soil, hydric veg, and evidence of hydrology. And the wetland, the basin itself also contains wetland characteristics. So we didn't alter any lines in that area. I believe there was delineation that included those but has maybe not, might not include those in the future. And so that line may still sort of be in question, depending on whether or not that basin is considered jurisdictional. But so we looked at those areas, and then I believe those were most of the areas of contention in terms of the line itself. I'm just looking over the letter really quick to make sure. Yeah, so I believe that those are the areas we looked at. And those were generally the results of the site visit. I'd be happy to answer questions on that. But that was generally speaking what we found. And then I believe the commission has seen the letter report. So.
Thank you.
I also can't really hear what's going on in the room. I apologize. I don't know if anybody else can. That's on the Zoom call. It's very quiet. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me currently?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. That was when we do have a camera here in the room as well that will be recording. So the meeting will still be recorded and you'll be able to see that. We don't have anyone else presenting here this evening, so that will be helpful. Everyone else is on Zoom.
Okay.
So you shouldn't have any issues going forward, but please sort of flag us or let us know if that's the case. But that was during when people were presenting, they were on the opposite side of the table, so I do apologize for that. So, Mr. Chair, I don't know if you want to take it from here.
Sure. No, I read through and appreciate your comments. And I'm curious if the applicant or one of the applicant's representatives are here. If they understand the comments you made, or if they have any questions regarding the comments you made, or any areas where they may disagree.
Tom is present if you would like it.
Please, yeah.
Tom, we didn't receive any revised plans or any response narrative, so I wasn't sure if you had questions or disagreements, but that is, I'm not sure if you heard what the chair just asked, but did you have any further questions, or were there any other information that was in contention or disagreement at this time after the site visit and findings?
No, good evening, everybody. My name is Tom Schutz and I'm with Goddard Consulting. Today, we didn't come with any site plan revisions, as we still have a couple of disputed items that we still have left to talk about. So we'd like to kind of get everything in order before we submit a further site plan. So we can kind of have everything all together at once to submit a final package to the commission to finally close out this ANRAD. So going through Ethan's comments, if I'm allowed to share my screen, that would be great. If the commission could see that as well, that would be good.
Please.
Okay, so these two items are where Ethan and I revised the most amount of flags. Yep.
Okay, now we can see it. Sorry, you gotta wait for the lag, but we're there with you now.
All right, great. Can everybody see now?
Yep.
So these are the two main areas where Ethan and I revised the most amount of flags. You can kind of see the brush line here. We revised GC 100 through 106, and now those are GC 100 through 100-6. And they came out all the way to the shrub line, and down in this section, they kind of connected across and created a hydraulic connection between these two BVW systems. Now there is somewhat of an intermittent stream that connects these two, as we saw in the field and as we've seen previously on our several site walks.
Tom,
I've also, yep.
As you go through this, can you just confirm that you were either in agreement or you were not in agreement?
We were in agreement about these flags here. We corrected these in the field together. So we were in agreement with these flags and Ethan's comments. I believe that they were area 2 here. Oh, sorry, area 1. That's what this comment is regarding. So we just spoke to that. Ethan also
that the place that you just went over
the field. Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry, I didn't catch
So,
that. I'm
sorry.
quiet.
Jillian was just asking for some orientation, and was pointing to the area that you were saying you were in agreement about, that flags were added or rather connected. So I just relayed to her that that was the old access road to the field.
Correct.
So
Yep.
that she
So the
understood where that
field,
was.
the field is down in this section. If you could see my mouse, it's down to the south of where we added those flags. So now there's an intermittent stream connection here, and the flags kind of delineate the bank of that. If we want to call it an intermittent stream, it's more just a hydraulic connection between the two BVWs that has been kind of trampled over the years and allowed to flow downhill into this BVW system.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Another point of contention was the delineation of this back section of the perennial stream. Ethan and I walked this entire berm, and then also the entire, every mean annual high water flag here. I added 20 flags today, from mean annual high water 22, and I added all the way to mean annual high water 42. And that added a little bit of that beaver slide where the original beaver trap was. There was a section of stream that was still flowing today, even during the drought. So that was added. So we are in agreement about that as well. Next, I also agree with Ethan's comments regarding the isolated wetlands here. We agree that these are isolated wetlands and jurisdictional under the local bylaw only. That includes this one up here. I think that was it for.
So Tom, I was just saying the isolated area you were pointing to was by the building, just for orientation purposes of the commission, that's all.
Correct.
Yep.
We'll move up and we'll talk about the northern detention basin here. That is to the north of the existing building. There's also a large parking lot here, and the stream kind of moves off to the east. We agree that this is a stormwater management basin. This was built in 1985 or around that time. We've seen that on the plans, and it was built in an upland area. It's a manicured area with stormwater outlets during high water. So based on Ethan's comments, we are standing with our comments that this is a stormwater management feature and is non-jurisdictional. We have those plans that this was built in an upland area and it is manicured. We were out there during our site walk, and we did see that this was in fact cut during, so it allowed access to it in case there was any need to do any kind of work to the stormwater management basin itself. We also are staying with the fact that this is a stormwater management feature in the south, and we would like to ask for some kind of determination on that tonight, so we can kind of move forward with the process here. Again, that was shown on the plans as built in an upland resource area as a stormwater management feature that was submitted by Ethan. And we do believe that this still is a non-jurisdictional feature on site. So I'd like to open it up to the commission to answer any questions from me, or I guess if you have any questions for Ethan as well, we'd both be happy to talk about it.
One point of clarification, I was just opening some of the paper maps for the commission as well, because their screen had froze. For the northern basin, we heard everything that you said, but for the northern basin, were you in agreement with what was noted in the report that Ethan had provided to the commission? And this is northern towards 117.
Yeah, so we agree that this was being split into two sections. It doesn't have an outlet. There's also a stand, but that is a historic marsh that was tied into the stormwater management feature. And we agree with this comment on the basin being tied into the stormwater management of the property, and thus being a stormwater management feature and non-jurisdictional. Again, I would like to bring up that it was built before 1992 or 1996, and it was built in an upland resource area as shown on these paper plans, if I could find the correct one. So this is a bit tough to orient yourself, but here is Main Street right here. This is north. We also have the pond itself right here, which is the stormwater management pond and fire pond. And these are the built berms around the entire thing. And here's the existing building today.
So to be clear, Ethan's comments did not state that it was non-jurisdictional. You are concluding that the applicant, in your perspective, is that it's non-jurisdictional due to the evidence that was provided on site and that the data that was collected on site as well. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. For the southern basin at the rear, so you're asking the commission to make a determination on essentially all the points that are in this letter on jurisdictional or not, and more specifically on the northern basin and the southern basin areas.
Correct. I think that we were both in agreement for the lines that we corrected, the isolated wetlands, also the river area that was selected or corrected and flags added to. Now we just need to determine the stormwater management feature jurisdiction.
Okay, Ethan, is that accurate to what?
Yes, yeah, that's accurate. Yep.
Any commission members have any initial thoughts, comments, or questions based on what we just heard?
So the commission has not made a claim whether it's jurisdictional or not. The commission tonight, that's the ask of the applicant, and that's the purpose of the peer review, to gather some more information. What the applicant is stating is that, Tom, can you just restate your reasoning for the northern basin? We'll focus on that for now, for your claim of it being non-jurisdictional, just so that our commission can be clear on what you're stating.
Yeah, I'm stating that this section here is a stormwater management pond or a fire pond. It was created in 1985 when these plans were also created here. This was built in an upland resource area, and it is a created pond itself. You can see the large berms around this section here, and it is also a manicured pond itself to allow for the firefighters or anybody else that needs to access the stormwater management pond to get to it, do any work to it that's needed. It does have a spill out point for when the water gets too high in this section, and that's located right here. But again, this was created in an upland resource area and is we are claiming is non-jurisdictional.
Rebecca, you might not be an expert on this, but based on when it was built and how it functions now, are we able to make that determination that it's simply a stormwater management feature? It's not.
That'd be up to the commission. So it's basically pre-1996, and then if it needs to also carry wetland characteristics, which seems to be the case. I think on this basin in particular, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but this one has a dry hydrant, I believe, associated with it, at least one of the portions of the northern basin. In addition to that, they do regularly mow around the circumference of the basin, but not inside of the basin. I don't know if they drench the basin or they clean it out regularly, but they certainly do mow right around it, and there is a dry hydrant. There's a overflow, like was relayed to as well, but it does predate 1996, and it does have some wetland characteristics as well.
Commission members have thoughts, comments, questions regarding this particular basin and whether it's jurisdictional or not.
Rebecca, to your point, is it maintained? Is it dredged? Dry hydrant maintained? All of that.
The banks are maintained of it to allow for access to it from the fire station, and also the outlet. Ethan and I both saw that that would allow water to pass through into the wetland if needed to overflow. So those areas are manicured for access for the fire department, as this is a fire pond.
Yeah, I'm somewhat stumped on this. Like, I can see both sides.
Lori, do you have any comments?
I'm the same way. You know, I know this was definitely built. There used to be a field there. I'm not really sure.
All right, so could we come back to this one and talk about the one at the back of the lot? Southern Basin.
At the rear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that one, I mean, I could see it with that northern basin, but with this one, just the way it currently exists and is functioning, I would hate to say that that's just a stormwater management feature and can be changed. I think it plays into the entire ecosystem that's surrounding it now. And oh God, I want to say, so it'll probably be the almost northerly part of the pond here. It's almost directly tied in with the wetlands that surround it. So I'd have a hard time saying that is no longer jurisdictional or not jurisdictional, just because it's fundamentally interconnected with wetlands and river systems that we know to be there. At least from what I've observed in the field, it really seems to be. But again, other commission members, I'd love to hear thoughts, comments, questions regarding this basin.
I would agree with you.
Okay, yeah, you have, all right, and Lori, I don't know if you have strong feelings.
I guess I'd go with this one as being more, has totally turned into our ecosystem as opposed to the front one. But yeah, I mean, just looking at it, when you're there, you automatically feel that it's part of the whole wetland system.
So I guess I put it back out there that, and again, I can officially poll the commission, but there's 4 of us here tonight. The 3 of us that have seen it all kind of think that the northern pond would be jurisdictional nowadays. I'm sorry, southern pond would be jurisdictional nowadays. Again, I can put it to a vote or poll to the commission as far as the northern one. I could see us saying that was more of a stormwater management feature. Again, Lori said that she knew it was existing field originally, it was dug out for that sole purpose. You know, and it's kind of isolated in its own way. I would be comfortable saying that one was non-jurisdictional, but that main southern basin, I would say that would be jurisdictional. And again, I can put it up to the commission. The 3 of us that have seen it, I think all feel similarly. We have 1 commission member who hasn't seen it, and again, I'm happy to set up a site visit if you want. But I would think that's the way we would, if that helps, or if that gives you the answers that you're looking for tonight.
Yeah, I think that would give us the answers for sure. That would be great.
All right. Sure. Sure. So if I say the northern,
So you can do it by areas. So area 1, hydraulic connection that they were in agreement on. Area 2 was the main annual high water line that they were in agreement on. So just if the commission's in agreement with that, just confirming they're also in agreement. Area 1, the northerly isolated wetland, that is in fact an isolated wetland. Then area 2, the southerly isolated wetland, that this area was in fact an isolated wetland. And then we have area 1 located at the north site, north of the site, west of the map riverfront area DBW. This is towards 117.
Yep.
And again, that's the northerly, and the one that you were just referencing as non-jurisdictional, in that it is a stormwater management basin.
Yep.
Marsh, and then area 2, located at the south end of the property, directly adjacent to the stream. That is jurisdictional to the commission.
Okay. All right. I guess I'd like to hold the commission. See if we're in agreement with the yeah, with the BSC review letter, that the reflagging of wetland limits, that we agree with the ones that have been done and not resubmitted yet, but both the BSC group and the applicant are in agreement. The area.
Excuse me, can you put the map back up? Because you're really breaking up and it's very hard to hear what you're saying. So if you're going to hit each point, if you had the map back up on which one we were voting on, it'd be a lot nicer. Thank you.
We're doing it by the letter, so that helps.
So area 1 and 2, according to the BSC group letter, I believe, sorry.
Yeah, so that's
There's
that
2 area
hydraulic
1 and 2.
connection.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, the first area 1 and 2 basically being the hydraulic connection. Yep, that Tom's showing on his screen. And the other series, the MAHW line. Yep, kind of shown in the purple here. I'd like to poll the commission that we agree with this reflagging and that we would be comfortable with this, seeing this in any kind of new plans submitted. All those that are fine with the new flagging for these 2 areas, please say aye, starting with Jillian.
Aye.
All right, Jim, Lori, and Rebecca, I'm and I myself. All right. And then regarding area, regarding area 1, located to the north of the site, west of the map RFA and BBW. It's got, yeah. This is the isolated. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the northerly. Sorry. So for the northerly, well, basically it's being shown on the screen.
Tom, can we go to the isolated areas first? Sorry.
Yep.
We just want to be going in the process of the letter.
Okay. Now I can't remember where we had got to on this one. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, those are the 2. All right, isolated areas subject to flooding. Sorry.
No, just isolated wetland.
Right. Right. So are we in agreement with what BSC group is recommending, that these areas be basically categorized as isolated wetlands, correct? Or they're isolated wetlands. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
But we basically are in agreement with what BSC is suggesting. Yeah, all right. So all those who are in agreement regarding this area, please say aye, starting starting with Jillian.
Aye.
All right, Jim, Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well. All right, so the northerly isolated wetland. All right, so for this area, they could pull the commission that we are in agreement that this is a non-jurisdictional area. It's currently a stormwater management area that was created and maintained solely for that purpose. We in agreement with that it is non-jurisdictional based on that it was a stormwater management feature created in that one area.
Fire. Or is it the
That's
same?
Same thing.
Okay.
So are we in agreement on that? Starting with Jillian? All right, Jim, Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Okay.
Southerly isolated wetland. It's not isolated, but yes. Gosh, I'm so sorry. I am falling apart. Yeah, it's the
last one.
so on area 2. Look at something in their property directly adjacent to the stream of BBW. That this is a jurisdictional area to the commission. All those that are agreed with that, please say aye, starting with Jillian,
Aye.
Jim, Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well. Cover all of our-
Would you like to request from the applicant an associated narrative and revised plans?
That would be wonderful if the applicant can get an associated narrative and revised plans based on everything we have discussed and agreed upon tonight.
Sorry, can you just repeat that? There was like a loud like noise between that. I only heard revised plans. Was there something between that?
The adjusted narrative, basically any answers to comments made by BSC and the revised plans.
Yes, we'll submit a revised narrative and plans.
That is excellent. In that case, is it okay if we continue until our next hearing or our next
Yep.
public meeting? Perfect.
Yep.
All right, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing. I can remember we are 580 for the ANRAD for 580 Main Street until our next public hearing, Tuesday, August 2nd at 8:30 p.m. All those in favor? I'm going to say, do I hear a second for that motion to continue?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian, Jen,
Lori?
Aye. Sorry, it was dead.
That's
all
okay.
right, and I'm an aye as well.
Great, thank you. All right, Tom, I will look forward to that. As you are aware, the submittal date is noon prior to the public meeting. It will be Zoom. The next meeting will be Zoom. Okay, Ethan, thank you so much for attending. And I'm sure I will be following up with you.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, we're happy to review, the additional plans and whatnot to make sure, lines and whatnot all get changed. So feel free to reach out. All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
The Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing to consider a notice of intent filed under Mass General Law, Chapter 130. Thank you. Once filed under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and Fulton Bylaw, Chapter 233. A notice of intent submitted by Foresight Engineering for proposed construction of a single-family dwelling driveway and sewage disposal system, including the installation of well, installation of underground service utilities, site grading, and landscaping, 578 Sugar Road. Is there an update on this project?
There is. The applicant's representative has respectfully requested a continuation with no testimony at this time.
Okay. Commission members comfortable and understand what they are asking? any reason why we wouldn't continue. All right, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 578 Sugar Road until our next public meeting, Tuesday, August 2nd at 8:45 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing? All those in favor, starting with Jillian.
Aye.
Jim. Aye. Lori.
Aye.
And Rebecca as well.
Scott was present. Thank you, Scott. We will see you at the next meeting.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Take care. Let me say Steeple Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing to consider a notice of intent for 711/713 Main Street submitted by Studio Institute on behalf of Craig Aubert for proposed demolition of an existing lawn. Representing the applicant this evening.
Yes, we have Craig on the phone. I believe that's what Craig's phone is. And also we have Tim Hess from Studio Institute Architects.
All right. If I remember correctly, last time we basically asked and continued to get greater degree of specificity on some of the plans for what we were looking to do, especially as you change some of the ideas of what we were trying to do around the wetlands, basically using machinery. Looking through what you submitted, it looked like you had entered everything or added most of just about everything we had asked for. I see you got specific on what machinery was going to be used, which was great. It looks like you added everything we had discussed. I was checking it against my notes. I don't believe I have any additional questions on this. I want to put it up to the commission members. And it said,
No further.
Rebecca, did you have thoughts or comments on what we had received?
I did not, as long as the commission is comfortable with what has been received and they feel that that covers the revised scope and the extended work and protections necessary for the change that has been made. As I previously stated, in the drafted conditions that we had already, we did incorporate the machineries to stay on the paved area and the limitations of that. So just clarifying that it wasn't to be so much the manual work, but rather utilize machinery, and then the protection to the stream itself is, I think, what I was wanting to just ensure was in the narrative so that it was referenced properly.
I don't know if the applicants want to add anything. I don't believe any commission members have any questions currently. Actually, before the applicants have anything, any members of the public wish to comment or have any questions regarding this project?
I see none. Lori, do you have any questions or comments?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
The applicants have anything they want to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I appreciate the chance to do so, but I don't think we have anything to add. We just did our best to address all the comments from our last get together, and it seems like you feel we've done that. So we're happy to be here, and thanks for your consideration.
All right, in that case, I'm going to make a motion that we close the public hearing for notice of intent for 711/715 Main Street. Do I hear a second for closing? All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian.
Aye.
Jim. Lori.
Aye.
And Rebecca, I'm an aye as well. If you make a motion that we issue an order of conditions for 711/713 Main Street as drafted and submitted this evening's meeting. All those, I was saying, do I hear a second for issuing that? All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian.
Aye.
Jim. Aye. Lori.
Whoop, aye.
And Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
All right, Tim, once that is signed by all the commission members, I will reach out to you to just confirm either mailing or if someone is going to come in to pick that up. And then we will arrange for that, okay?
Terrific. Thanks so much. may I just ask as a point of clarification, does the appeal period apply to Conservation Commission decisions, or am I thinking of CBA and board?
There's a 10-day appeal period.
10-day period. Thanks so
And
much.
you can confirm that by reviewing the Wetlands Protection Act and also the local wetland bylaw.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all.
On the agenda, any commission members have any new business? Again, anything you should be aware of that wasn't already on the agenda? In case, I'd like to make a motion that we hereby adjourn the Tuesday, July 19th meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second for adjourning? All those in favor, starting with Jillian, Jim, Lori.
Aye.
Wonderful.